I should see people logging on, shouldn't I?
So a chance no one wants them.
There is a chance, yeah, but I think, see, because this is all I've seen now. It's really like,
Got it. Yeah, yeah.
hello, you all right? I'm just going to give it a couple of minutes and see if anybody else joins. Okay, it's 3 o'clock. We are expecting some more people, but it's 3 o'clock, so we will make a start because I've quite a bit to get through today. So, welcome to today's session. This is developing your personal brand for success. It's myself. I'm here, Christina Cooper. So, I'm the careers coach in LUMS. I specialise with marketing students, but I work with all students across LUMS and many other faculties as well. And not on my own today. I've got Adam here as well. So if you see me talking to somebody or looking at somebody, Adam's helping me out on the tech. So if you've got any questions, feel free to pop them in the chat. If you want any camera on, it can be an interactive session. It always makes it more fun. But we'll get started. So first of all, it would be good if my slides bit worked. There we go. So first of all, we're going to be looking today at what makes you unique. You know, what is your personal brand? How do you identify that personal brand of yours? And then how are you going to use that branding? So it's one thing to actually identify what your brand is, but how are we going to apply that to the real world and in your career development and in your journey in careers? Okay. So Harvard Business School defines personal branding as the intentional strategic practice of defining and expressing your value. Okay, so it's understanding what you bring to the table and then how you're going to plan that, how you're going to utilize that to help you in the future. So always think about it in terms of your shop window. So these are just a range of different shop windows, okay? And some of them will be more appealing to you than others. And this is how employers see you. Not just employers, this could be business connections, this could be clients that you work with, but this is how other people see you and whether they want to buy anything from your shop, whether they think that you're engaging to them, whether what you're offering, some people will walk straight past because it's not what they're looking for, or just how it is branded, the color scheme, how everything looks about the organization. And that's what you're portraying all the time. And when we're talking about this, we're talking about it from LinkedIn profiles, portfolios, CVs, cover letters, or how you interact with people on a daily basis. So always be thinking about your shop window. And it can be quite useful to speak to people that you know and people that are in your circle, in your network, because you can be asking them, you know, how do I come across to people? Right? Companies and successful companies do this all the time, okay? They invest in developing and building strong brands. So there's so many organizations globally that we all know. It doesn't matter where we have been growing up, which schools we've gone to, which universities, but there are some global brands that have built these really strong, recognized organizations. For example, McDonald's, Nike, for whatever reason, they are recognized, they're known by so many different people. It could be particular car companies that built that brand and that recognized sort of luxury, reliability that people buy into. Okay, but it's more than a logo, it's more than just look that has happened to them. A lot of time and effort has gone into those brands and building those organizations and those investments. So just think now, normally if I do this in an in-person session, we do it in small groups, but you've got 1 minute, I'm just going to time you, you've got 1 minute to list as many brands that you can think of. Okay, now this can be people, I'm going to come on to that in a minute, but as many brands and organizations that you can think of. All right, so I'm just going to set my timer, off you go. Feel like I should hum or sing in the background, guys, you know, just like when you're on hold. be interesting as well. What we would do if if I do it in the in-person, we'd sort of write on the board, the big brands that people, so quite often people come up with those, your Nike, your McDonald's, your Lexus, lots of different brands, FIFA, things like that. Apple, thank you, Adam. Microsoft, Samsung, Google, all of those brands that you can think of. If anybody joins in right now, be like, what are we doing? What are we doing? We've got about 10 seconds left. Okay. So if you look at your list of brands, and like I say, if we were in an interactive in-person session, then we will be comparing those lists and how many we sort of had duplicated on there and what kind of stood out to us about those names. But quite often they are those sort of big global brands that people recognise. But they haven't just happened overnight, many years, quite often many failures have gone into those organisations in order to build that recognised brand that we see and associate with those logos today. And even if companies have had a particular bad time in the press, a lot of the chocolate companies at the minute are going through a lot of this. They're having to rebrand themselves. They can't actually call themselves chocolate companies because of the amount of cocoa that's in things. So it's a constant game of like reinventing yourself as well. But when you look at those organisations, and it could be, like we say, companies, but it could also be people, it's thinking, how have they got where they are? So looking at some of these are just some of the organisations that we work with. So you might have some of these people on your list already. So these are some of the organisations that either come in and support the university, or many of our students do placements or graduate schemes with. But I think you'll agree that most of those labels and logos you recognise in terms of big organisations out in industry. They resonate with us, Coca-Cola, Warner Brothers, Bank of America. For whatever reason, we've got an affiliation with them. Doesn't mean you necessarily want to work with them, but you understand the organisation. You understand that they're a big brand. Even if you're not quite sure what they do, you probably recognise their logo. Also, a lot of brands obviously own lots of other companies. So like under the L'Oréal Paris, there's literally like hundreds of companies within that. When you look at some of the organisations that have got sister companies and the different arms within them. But when you're thinking about your personal branding, for you, this is how you stand out in the industry. This is how you build a personal brand that showcases your skills and your expertise. Right? It is unique to you, just like each one of those organisations is unique, depending on who owns it, depending on what they do, what their services are, what their products are. This is what the world will see about you. Right, and that resonates how you portray yourself through your online presence, your emails, your LinkedIn, how people remember you, but also things like business cards, which might seem a bit outdated, but we still get given business cards at a lot of events and networking, or you might find them in information folders as well, and brochures. But this is your personal side of personal branding. And why is it important? Well, the 5 main reasons why personal branding is so important is because it does increase your visibility and reputation. Your name is the only thing that you own, really, that people can't take away from you. That's what you build. So everything that you do is about your name. So when people see it on your CV, especially when you go into an industry, and I'll take careers, for example, not very glitzy, not very glamorous, but it's quite a small network of people that work in careers, let's take it across the UK. So quite often, when we work in university establishments, we know each other, and we know people who've worked with people that we're now working with as colleagues. And maybe for many years, as many people in my team, I've worked with people in other universities that know these people. So when people start mentioning your name, like, oh, she's joined the team, or oh, I'm doing an event with Christina Cooper. Oh yeah, I've worked with her. Oh yeah, she'll bring this. Oh yeah, she'll do that. And that's a really nice endorsement. So it's really going to increase your visibility about who you are, but that trusted brand. Think about it the other way. We wouldn't want it the other. No, you don't want to work with that person. No, don't have them on your team, especially when you're applying to go into certain sectors, if it's consultancy, or in finance, banking, investment. If people associate your name with negativity, then they're not going to want to hire you. It sort of reverberates on you. Being able to create trust Again, it's the extension of that. People trust you. You say you're going to do something, you do it. You say you're going to turn up, you're going to turn up. You've got connections. Never overpromise. It's much easier to underpromise and actually over-deliver. So yeah, I'll see what I can do. And then you pull it out of the bag and, oh yeah, I've got this contact. Rather than promising these wonderful things and those things don't happen, people won't trust your brand. People won't trust your name. When you come to building your network, the more people that you've got in your network, they act as sort of recommendations and endorsements for you. So it makes it a little bit easier. If people, we'll come onto this with LinkedIn, but if people can see that you're following somebody, they'll follow you, even if they've never met you, because they know you might have a mutual connection between you. It can increase your financial value and your competitiveness. So if you're going for a job, and you're looking at maybe negotiating a pay rise, it could be that you're in a job and you want to negotiate that pay rise whilst you're in there, but also it makes you stand out in terms of the value that you're bringing to the organisation. They can see your value added and they're more likely to invest in you. If you want to leverage that for maybe extra training, it can help you in those ways. But it also inspires your colleagues and your direct line reports. So anybody around you and your line managers that you can report to, if you're trusted and your brand is recognised, they sort of trust you. They take a step back. Yeah, she's got it. Yeah, she's doing it. They're quite happy to put you forward, maybe in meetings. You might find that quite intimidating sometimes, especially at first, but actually that trust of, no, I recognise that you'll be able to go in those meetings and handle yourself and be able to report to senior managers. It will really help in terms of development of your personal brand. So it can really pay off when you're in industry as well. So first of all, let's just start having a look at some of these personal brands. So, we know who this person is, CR7, Cristiano Ronaldo. Okay, got a huge brand, not just on the pitch, but most certainly off the pitch. Got Elon Musk down here, Tesla cars, I suppose. Is it X as well? Some people might think he's a bit odd, but that's part of his brand. Okay, we've got Taylor Swift. Good job, Laurie's not here. She's a huge Swiftie fan. But again, her own personal brand. Selena Gomez, Beyonce, David Beckham, The Rock, or Dwayne Johnson, as I knew him. Not personally, obviously, but growing up. Oprah Winfrey, and then the Kardashian clan. Now, whatever your personal views are of these people, and however you see these people in the world, we cannot argue with the fact that they've all created a huge brand. Not just in what they do, so not just footballers, not just a wrestler, but they've gone on to do lots of other things and they've got lots of different branches to who they are. All right. Now, obviously, they're celebrities. Okay. And we are very different. They've got a team of people around them and people that work and have a whole comms team around them. But what can you do and what's the same? So very much with a lot of these people, the authenticity and consistency is the same. So whether that is celebrities, whether that is like say the Nike branding or the Lexus, whoever, they maintain authenticity. They're true to their own values, whether you like those values and agree with those values or not, but they're very true to what they do. So whether they portray themselves as family people, whether they are single business people, whether they're pushing the boundaries, whatever it is, that is their aim. They're always projecting that aim in everything that they do. They're always reinforcing it and coming back to it. They do engage in quite engaging storytelling. Okay, so everything about them, they're always in the news. There's always something going on, whether that's like Taylor Swift, when she came to the UK, she gave so much money to each of the venues and did lots of support and charity work. Many of these will do a lot of charity work. It's part of their narrative. It's reaching out to people. It's part of that good news story. But it also highlights their personal journeys. So you look at David Beckham before he was a footballer, then you see him with his family, being the all-round family man. Now he's got problems with family life at home and his son. But there's that journey. There's always those stories, those struggles, those things that they come over and those challenges that they beat. The biggest one is probably utilising their social media. They personally will do some of it, but very little. It is usually like a full team of people behind them. And this is something now that we have all got access to, whereas once it was very much a one-way communication. Now everybody's got social media platforms, so everybody can use that, and having that constant presence and maintaining that constant presence and using social media all the time, sort of share your aims, your interests, your journey, and keeping that engagement going. But they've also built very strategic partnerships. So whether that is somebody who, like I say, might be in the voluntary sector, some sort of charity work that they're working with, maybe it's supporting educational programs, things that they are interested in, as well as business relationships, they're actually working with so many different partners. And you see that a lot within sort of university structures and a lot of businesses. You will work with so many different clients or colleagues from different departments. And it could be that it's actually like an extra curriculum activity that you do outside your day-to-day job. So building those strategic partnerships. And then that continuous reinvention. So we're always developing, we're always learning new skills, or we should be, the learning never stops. We're going on new courses, we're doing new training, we're collaborating with people. So being able to being able to adapt to that really helps people to maintain and develop that personal brand. Some of the most successful celebrities, like Madonna, I was personally never a Madonna fan growing up, but she has always been able to reinvent herself. A lot of these brands, when you look at what they're doing, and you've seen it now, even in the back room things in terms of how they're developing their sustainability, they know it's a huge issue for a lot of these organizations, or how they're adopting AI. They're constantly having to adapt to the climate and what's going on in the world and the pressures, the next generation, they're always adapting to who they are. So even though they're celebrities and yet they've got teams of people around them, the tools are the same. The steps to this are the same for yourselves. Remembering and having that plan and the tools and the techniques are all the same, and you can utilize those every day in what you do. So where can we start? Where do we need to start? So it doesn't matter what year you're in at university, it doesn't matter if you're postgraduate, PhD, it doesn't matter if you're in early careers professional, okay? We all need to start somewhere. And the first thing is identifying what sets you apart, okay? This is something that you really need to sort of self-reflect on yourself, understand what you're good at, your strengths, your weaknesses, what you like doing. A lot of the careers things is not what most people say to us, oh, I don't know what I want to be, or I've got an idea about what I want to be. Actually, a lot of people say, I have no idea. And a lot of the careers is trying to work out what you don't like, what I don't want to be. I really don't enjoy doing that. And some jobs you might not have a choice. You've got to develop that skill, and maybe you'll never be great at it, but you get through it and develop those skills to cope with it. But the first part is understanding who you are, your unique skills, experiences, and personality traits. And you'll have probably heard all the way through your upbringing, whether you're at primary school or secondary school, you'll have had school assemblies and people will have been recognised for being the fastest runner or somebody that can play all these instruments. Most people sat in those assemblies and didn't have a thing. They didn't have one thing that they were really good at. And you might only realise those strengths and those keys that you've got, those key skills that you've got much later in life. So for me, I know it's very much like working with people and helping younger people work through their careers. But I didn't know that when I was looking at what career to do and when I was going into marketing. But being able to identify who you are, what interests you, what motivates you, what gets you out of bed in the morning, and then what sets you apart from others. What's your vision? Where do you want to go with that? What's your aims? What's your ambitions with that? And I'm not talking about owning a global company. For some people, they don't want to do that. But what gets you out of bed? What do you like doing? For some people, that's money. They will do anything they can for money. We know that. OnlyFans exists. We see that. But for most people, they want to do something that they enjoy. Okay. Some people aren't bothered about that. They literally want to just get out of bed for money. There's nothing wrong with that. That's that person's motivation. For other people, they don't care about the money. They just want to help people. They just want to give something back. Everybody's different. Either way, everybody's got to eat and sort of pay bills and function in the world. So finding where you are, what's your mission? Just like all the companies and the brands that we want to work for have their own mission and values. What's your mission and values? So if you think about it in terms of this is your USP. This is where you sit. When you're applying for organizations, it could be when you're looking at a promotion, when you're in an organization or you're looking to move companies. This USP is what you're bringing. Okay. But you need to think about the wider context of that. So what is an employer looking for? So if you're looking to join an organization, the first thing you're going to do is look at a job description. What are they asking for? It will tell you very specifically. Does that align with who you want to be? We know in careers we work with so many students that tell us they've got aspirations of certain companies. And we might know from insight how those organisations operate. And you think this person's probably not going to enjoy it there. The cultural fit isn't there. The values don't align. You know, I've had people that have really wanted to go into investment banking and were so pleased when they've had placement offers and it's been like 40, 50,000 pounds for a placement year. There's a reason they're going to pay them that. You know, they own that student Monday to Friday, most usually including Saturdays and Sundays as well, all hours, and they're going to make sure you work for that money. And there was somebody recently who that happened to. They were so pleased to get an investment organisation, and they went to that investment banking. And after 3 months, whilst out on placement, they rang up and said to us, I can't do it anymore. You know, it's every day, it's till 11:30 at night. I'm here on the weekends. There's a reason, you know, and you knew that that wasn't a fit for that person. We can't tell students that, you know, it's about researching, but always looking at what that organisation want. You know, does that align with who you are? And then looking at what your competition is offering. So in all my lectures, I usually start the year by saying, look around, you know, look at the people on the left of you, the people on the right of you. They are your biggest competition. Okay. So you need to be standing out from those people, but not just those two people, everybody in the room. And that's just at this university. You look at all the other universities across the country and across the world, everybody that'll be graduating at the same time as you, you're all going to be each other's competition. Plus the people that went just before you, graduated just ahead of you, and the ones that are going to come through just behind you. So in terms of what are you bringing to the table, everybody's going to have the same qualifications, pretty much. You know, everyone's going to come through a school system. It doesn't matter whether that was in the UK, whether that was internationally. Everyone's going to have the same sort of qualifications. What else are you bringing? Because a lot of the jobs are going to ask that the degree or the postgraduate qualification is mandatory, is essential to the job. But what else are you bringing? So what have other people got? You know, what are they showing up with? And then looking at what you do well. It could be that you're the president of a society. It could be that you do lots of volunteer work. It could be that you've got a part-time job and you've taken on extra responsibility. It could be that you're a young carer and you're really good at managing your time and you're really motivated and the things that you can achieve. It's usually a collaboration. It's usually a mixture. Okay, so having one thing doesn't necessarily make you stand out. And quite often students will come to us when they're doing CVs, see it a lot in the first year. What can I be doing? What can be added? It's a range of different experiences that shows an employer that you can handle yourself in different situations. You can cope under pressure, that you work well as a team. But then it's how you package that and how you deliver that to an organisation. So first, think about who you're trying to reach. What is your message? Okay, is this for a new job? Is this for a promotion? Is it just anybody? So LinkedIn or anybody that you network with, and thinking about crafting your message. What do you want them to know about you? Because there's some stuff you don't want people to know. You know, you're not going to necessarily tell them how much you weigh or what your height is, but there's lots of things that you do want people to know. All right. So you're sort of building that around, you're building your message around the need for it. Like we say, is it for a new client? It could be that you're out working in an industry. What do you want them to know about you? Okay, so really thinking about it. And the first thing you do is look at your job descriptions, look at the company information, look at their annual reports. This is if you're doing it very much for a job. So if you're applying for, let's say, graduate position or a placement opportunity, what do the company want to see? What are they asking for? So any way you can get information about that organisation. Job description is a good starting point because they're very much going to set out what they want from an individual, but then go further than that. Start looking on places like Glassdoor, doing your research, reaching out to people on LinkedIn. Could be that they've been here on campus at a careers fair. So you're meeting them, you're finding out about that organisation. What are they like to work for? Do they invest in their staff? You know, a lot of companies say they do. Annual reports can be brilliant for this because you can see how much money they invest into staff training. What opportunities? Do they actually say what they're doing? Are they authentic in their story? And then create your personal brand statement. So start to think about this. This is very much about how I went about my LinkedIn profile, what I do, you know, not just my career, but what I do outside of my job. So when I meet anybody, this is kind of my self-introduction that I would give. This shows my mission, this shows my personality, how you deliver it to people. Okay. Talks about all the things that I do outside of work, what skills I've got. They're always positive. So you never say anything like, oh, yeah, I'm Christina, I'm really bad at spelling. We don't say that. Keep it positive. All the things that we like doing, okay, that we enjoy doing, that tailors which way we go and where people see us. All right. It is your verbal elevator pitch. So I know some like students in my department, we do an elevator pitch as part of an assessment. And if you're not sure what an elevator pitch is, some of you may do, but it's seen as the time it takes to ride the lift journey with somebody, usually from your dream organisation. So if you had a dream organisation you want to work at, a dream job, and you're in a lift with somebody, we say 30 seconds, but let's be honest, a lift journey is probably much quicker than that. You've got to be able to get across who you are, what you're interested in, why they should hire you. Even if there wasn't a job available, it's that conversation. So answering that, who you are, what you do, and what you're looking for. All right. And you've got to be able to do that in a very short space of time. Quite often, this is the first question at an interview. So whenever you go for any interview, they'll start by tell us about yourself. And when you interview lots of different people, you can see this question. Some people really unravel. They were ready for the company. They were ready to talk about the company and why they want to work there, but they hadn't thought about how they pitch themselves. Other people use that question in an interview to tell them everything in the literally, and I've done this, I've done that, I really like this, and I love doing that. Whoa, hold on. You need to cultivate, you really need to tailor down that verbal pitch, that elevator pitch, and get it really spot on. The good news is you will all have done this. You will all have done this when you first started university. So cast your mind back to when you started university, whether you lived in halls or you commuted in, you will have met so many new people. You will have introduced yourself and you will have honed that by the end of the first week. Hi, my name's Christina. I'm studying on a marketing course, yeah, and I'm staying in Grisdale College. And you will very much, oh yeah, I go to the gym and I'm really interested. You will really tailor that message. And then flip it around as well. You think when you meet other people, how many times has somebody talked to you somewhere? It could be when you started university, it could be the first day of a job, and you've not wanted to talk to them for long because you didn't like their introduction, you didn't get a good vibe off them. Maybe they were really nervous, maybe they're really quiet. For some people, they prefer that. For whatever reason, start looking at that in your everyday life now. Whenever you go anywhere and people introduce themselves, just listen to their elevator pitch. Everybody does it all the time, but just watch how people do it and then thinking about your elevator pitch. And it will alter, wherever you go, whoever you're talking to, whatever the need is, you do tailor that pitch a little bit as to who you're talking to. So before I came to the university just over a year and a half ago, I've done marketing and public relations years ago, but I've been working in the FE sector in the colleges. Now I'm in the HE sector, but if I see people from the college sector, I very much can revert back to that and I can adapt how I'm talking to people because I understand their market. And you will do that naturally with your pitches, but very much focusing on who you are. Okay. This just gives you an example. Hello, my name is Christina. I've got qualifications and degree in marketing from Lancaster University. I've worked in this sector. This is what I've been doing. And it's quite difficult when you're first starting out your career. And a lot of times in careers, I personally speak to a lot of people about how they can match what they're doing maybe in a part-time role. So they see it maybe working in a shop, working in retail, working in hospitality, and they're like, I've not done anything connected to consultancy. I've not done anything connected to marketing. Well, actually, if you've been working with customers, customer loyalty, people coming in, using that organization, building brand loyalty, showing them just a really good experience, every business in the world, doesn't matter whether you work on your own and you clean windows on your own or whether you are Richard Branson and your own Virgin, it doesn't matter. Those skills are so transferable into any organisation, and that's what employers want to see. When you're applying for positions, when you're leaving university, or if you're looking at placement, they know you're not 40. They know that. That's why you'll be doing a grad scheme or an early career job. Okay, they're going to teach you how to be a consultant, how to be a business analyst in that sector. They will show you that. They will invest in training in you. What they can't do and what they haven't got time to do is teach you how to communicate with people, how to be confident, how to deliver who you are, how to deal with problems, problem solve. So it's all those things that you're showing them what you're interested in. I really like this area of marketing. I really like this area of consultancy. I really enjoy and focus on these problems. Yeah, I'd love to get more involved in this area of the industry. So it's how you bring that to life and showing organisations what you can do. So thinking about crafting your brand and your messaging, first of all, looking at who you are, what you're interested in. And I do work with people, one-to-one quite often on this, where they're looking at, well, what is my brand? I don't play an instrument, I've not won swimming competitions. It's not about that. It's how we show organisations who we are. It could just be that you're a really in-depth thinker and you love analysing problems and thinking about it. And then you come up with many solutions. That is really recognised in the industry. So it's how you then package that to companies. But we'd look at developing that consistent message, who you are, what you're interested in. Then we'd start looking at sort of the more visual side. So spending time looking at your CV. So depending on the industry that you're working in and that you're using your CV for, it might have a standard format. A lot of the finance and accounting routes, very standardized format. Other sectors like marketing and digital media can be much more creative, and you can develop your own logos and name on there. But then we're backing that up when we're looking in terms of our website. So a lot of people I work with do their own website to show what they're interested in. They might write blogs, they've got their own LinkedIn pages, and then they personalize that. So making sure that their About Me section, for example, on their LinkedIn, on their socials, matches what is said on a CV profile, if you've got a profile on your CV, or in your cover letter. There's nothing worse than an organisation looking you up for a position, which they all will do when you're applying anywhere, and your CV saying, I'm really interested in this, but your LinkedIn profile saying something completely different. They've got to match up. And remember, your LinkedIn account is very much a living CV. So I'd say it could be a blog, it could be social media, but having that consistent brand about who you are. Okay. And thinking about that network, when you're building those personal networks, using it. So quite often I meet people, have you started your LinkedIn profile? No, I haven't. Okay, well, you might want to build a LinkedIn network profile. I know some countries don't use LinkedIn, but very much here in the UK, it's something that employers will look you up on and will look for, and you'll find opportunities on there. So they're looking you up for that footprint to see that you exist and what kind of things you're interested in. But also it'll build the algorithm so that you get sent more and more opportunities that are tailored to you, which is really weird because for us in careers, like my LinkedIn profile is so random. And if you ever sit in a one-to-one with me, it will have so many different things in the feed, so many different themes: project management, AI, marketing, careers, university information, whereas my students very much tend to have one thing that they're interested in, one particular industry. So they get lots of information, whether that's reports, whether that's articles, videos, job opportunities. So it's starting to build that algorithm that the system will send them, oh, you might be interested in this, follow this person's CEO of this company, follow them. So you can start to use your LinkedIn network to build your brand, building those strategies of how you're going to reach out to people. You can attend as well. There's so many events online and webinars that are really useful and industry relevant. And again, they're usually tailored to you because of the algorithm. So you can join those groups, you can follow organizations. When you go for interviews, these are really useful commercial awareness tips that you can sort of drop in. So you might get asked at an interview, what do you think is current challenge facing this company at the moment, facing this sector? You might already have your own ideas, through just knowing the industry. But if you can reference something and say, oh, I was reading a report on LinkedIn the other day from such and such company, Microsoft, who was saying that AI is doing this, this, and this, that's a really good piece of commercial awareness to get in at an interview as well. There's lots of, like I say, lots of events that you go to. You can share anything that you've done. So if you've done any LinkedIn learning, you can then add that to your profile, show that you're constantly developing, getting lots of ideas from other people as well. But then any potential bosses will see that. Okay, and they will see actually you're constantly developing yourself, you're constantly learning new skills. And then collaboration as well. So quite often through LinkedIn, you can link in with other people. That could be guest speaker in somewhere, that could be attending events somewhere, that could just be sharing information or reaching out as a mentor. So I recently met a parent here. They came to an open day. They brought their son to an open day. Turned out this parent had studied here years ago. So through talking at the event, I reached out on LinkedIn. So it'd be great if I could get you as a guest speaker. few weeks later, in they came as a guest speaker. So being able to reach out to people and utilising it as a tool is vital. A lot of people do comment to me like, oh, I don't really want to post things on LinkedIn and it's quite awkward. It is very awkward. It can make you feel quite vulnerable. I always say to people, don't worry about posting anything. Just create your account. Just create your account, put on a photo on there. You don't have to have the boring one like this, where everybody looks. You might have you fell run, whatever you like to do. You can show your hobbies, you can show what you're interested in, but start to build that brand first of all. And then all you need to start doing is liking people's things. If you start liking, you might add the odd comment onto people. You might say, well done, or this was a great read, or it was really interesting to see this, it was fascinating. The system will still keep generating through that algorithm things that are of interest to you. I always say to students, whichever sector you're looking into, whichever sector you're hoping to go into, AI is brilliant for this. You can get it to generate you a list, give me a list of the top 100 companies in the world for marketing or top consultancy firms. Follow them on LinkedIn. Start to follow them. You'll again start to see industry insight, industry updates, individuals that work for those organizations. It's going to share the information with you. So you're developing your network. And we talked before about people endorsing you. The amount of people, and if anybody ever sits in a one-to-one with me, they'll see this if we go on LinkedIn. A lot of people come up in they've followed you. I don't know them. I've never met them before. But if I can see that my boss and her boss and somebody else in the marketing department and somebody else follows this person, and I can see I've got 5 mutual connections, even if I don't know that person, I'm likely to add them as a connection because I know that they're being endorsed by other people know who they are. So the more people you follow in your chosen industries, the more that endorses you. Again, going back to your name, that's the only thing that person's going to see, and then they can look you up. And the great thing about LinkedIn is you get a notification about who's looked you up. So then you can look them up. What do they do? What sector do they work in? And you can reach out, and it just keeps going bigger and bigger. So keep thinking about that shop window. How do you want LinkedIn to look? Not just the visual, but what's it say about you? Quite often when I read people's profile sections for LinkedIn, it'll say things like, I'm a second year business management student, which is fine. There's nothing wrong with that, but maybe think about the order. So I would go with more something like, I'm really enthusiastic to be looking at building a successful career as a business analyst. I'm motivated by this. I enjoy doing that. I'm enjoying doing that. I'm currently a second year business management student at Lancaster University. And I would finish with that. I would start with the industry bit. What am I interested in? What am I motivated to get into? And it's quite useful to look at other people's LinkedIn profiles, people maybe that you aspire to be in that sector. What do they say? Okay. And do some research rather than just going straight off, and you will adapt it. Make sure you change it when you move to the third year. Update it that you're in your third year. If you're out on placement or you're about to graduate, change that to excited to graduate, about to graduate. But always be thinking of that shop window. Will people walk past it and be interested and not interested in it, or are people going to stop? No, what are you talking about? Or what are you offering? So always have that vision of how your shop window looks. And thinking, we've talked about using that personal brand, but now promoting it. How are you going to do that? So using your social media, you can put your tags in your emails. So quite a lot of students I've worked with will develop their own sort of footer for their emails. So they've got their own logo in there. They'll put in their social media tags. Obviously, only putting on social media what they want on social media. For some people as well, it can be quite daunting. I would say, like with LinkedIn, everybody's boss is on LinkedIn. So it's not a negative place. It's not a trolling place. Yes, people might post something like, oh, I was disgruntled by this company when I went for an interview, or I didn't like this, but it will always be a professional criticism. Nobody's being horrible about people because, like I say, everyone's boss is on it for a start. But think about how you come across on that social media. And then, like I say, using that in your emails, your footers. We talk about offline presence as well. So that could be that we've got guest speakers on campus, meeting with them, talking to them in person at the end of a session. It could be that you meet them and then you send them a LinkedIn message. It was lovely to hear you today. It was great talking to you at the end. I'd love to catch up. Would you be able to look over my CV? But also thinking, do you want any business cards? A lot of students I work with, especially because they're in design or in marketing, are building portfolios. or they're building their own websites and they get the Wix, just get a free website template and what they're interested in, the kind of things that they're doing on the courses, what they want to get into, and then some of them, extra information, their hobbies, their interests. But they're then putting that website link into their LinkedIn profile, they're putting it in their emails, it's on their CVs, it's something extra that other people haven't got when you go for those interviews. It's that real professionalism of that brand that you've got. It does take time and effort, and resilience. That's the great thing about being a student. You're learning. Whilst you're at university, you're learning. And you'll develop that and you'll cultivate that as you go through so that when you do graduate, you've got that really smooth, sleek, really professional, tailored personal brand that you've got. So you go into industry ready. It's so much harder to start doing this once you're in industry, because people then expect you to be professional. They expect all those tailored things ready when you're in industry. So do it now while you've got the help and the support here. We can look at it, help you streamline things. Yeah, start following this. Oh, have you looked at this? And it slowly builds it. So that by the time you leave university, you've got lots of connections, you've got lots of people in the industry that you might reach out to as well. Make sure you stay up to date. That's one of the good things about using online resources, using things like LinkedIn, anything that's going on in the industry, any professional bodies that your industry is connected to. It's great. A lot of the updates will automatically come through LinkedIn anyway, so you can follow those organizations on LinkedIn. But it also helps you to monitor your brand. So you can Google yourself, you can see what's being said about you. It's great when I see students commenting on other students' work. So it might be that they've worked in a group together, they've done some project work, they've added a comment, it was great to work with you. You really motivated the team, you really helped us pull it together. This was really motivating. You can recommend people and endorse people on LinkedIn as well, which is really good. So you just give them like a nice testimonial as well. But also then engaging with people. So I really try, any students that follow me, when it comes to graduation time and the posting, I can't believe it, made it through, I've graduated. I really try to comment on all of them that appear in my feed, really try and hope and wish them luck in the future, let them know that they've got careers for life, that they can reach out to us, that we're here if they need anything, but recognizing them and trying to build that relationship with them. So it's all about that engagement. So if anybody contacts you, because as we've told all the students before you, and we'll be telling everybody after you, reach out to people on LinkedIn, ask them for help. If they're working in a company that you really want to work in or you're about to apply to, try and reach out to them. The absolute worst thing that would happen is they don't apply. That's it. That's the worst thing. Annoying, yes. You might try again in a week or two's time. They still might not. See if you can find another connection. Right? But it's really useful for then engaging. So when the next lot of students come through and graduate and you're in those organisations and they see that you went to Lancaster, they might be reaching out to you. Do you have 5 minutes that I could show you my CV? Would you be able to jump on a Teams call? Or can I ask you some questions? If I emailed you a couple of questions about this company, would you mind? It could be that they're doing project work. So really engaging with people as well makes it really useful. Some people don't want to post. Like I said, it could just be a case of liking something or just sharing something. Quite often I just share things. I have got colleagues in the team that love posting, post random things, even about when they're on the day off and they go and get a nice ice cream, whatever floats your boat. Most people aren't that comfortable and don't want to do that. Believe it or not, even the marketing students don't necessarily feel like that. But what you can do for some people, say, well, if you do want to post something, but you're not sure what to post, do it as like a term update, a term review. So at the end of the term, you might just put a simple post together. Again, ChatGPT or other AI platforms are available. Can really help you with that. So it might just be, wow, it's been a really busy term. These are some of the highlights. Really enjoyed doing this, this, and this. I look back, can't believe I fit everything in. So you don't have to post frequently, but it might be a review, okay, of the year. And do persevere with it. It is time consuming. I always say to my students that I meet with, it does swallow time if you're not careful with it. You start going off down a path and then another path. Just do it if you're waiting maybe for the bus or if you're waiting for a lecture to start, allow yourself some time. And for me, it's usually like this time, the end of the day. I think, right, I've got half an hour to go on, check if I've got any messages, might share some things and update it. So just be careful that it doesn't take over your time and dominate you. Do persevere with it. It doesn't happen overnight. It's something that builds very slowly. And that's why it's great when you're at university to do that and to build that brand that you've got. You've got time to do that and helps you work out what you're interested in. Okay. So build those networks whilst you're here. You're already in so many networks. You're already part of clubs, societies, your housemates, your peers. It might be that you will have a part-time job. You've already got so many networks. And it's only when people actually look at it go, yeah, I have actually. It might not be where I think my network would be or where the industry I'm going into, but you've no idea where your classmates are going to go. Like I said before, you might look around your class and I say to people, this is your biggest competition. But I also say it's also your biggest asset because you're all in the same course. So when you're off in industry, those are the people that are going to be in jobs. We've got we've got an opening coming up. We're hiring somebody. Get an email. Oh, I know our team's going down and this part of the company is finishing. Anybody got any hints, any ideas, anything opening up out there? So you can utilize that network. And the people that are in these networks now connects you to another network and another network and another network. So you're starting to build that all the time and you're already doing it. On LinkedIn, they reckon they get 2 new people every second. Usually, if I've done careers drop in, there's probably a few more than that every second. But they think they've got over about 774 million members worldwide that are part of LinkedIn. And that gives you direct access. So we talk about things like those celebrities and those big companies. Years ago, you wouldn't have even known where they were, but now you can contact hiring managers. You can look up company information. You've got much more, email addresses can be on there, not always, but can be on there, so you can reach out to people. It is uncomfortable. Don't worry about getting it wrong. You can't get it wrong. All right. It seems quite scary, like I said before, embarrassing. It can feel a bit forced. That's why at first the big thing is just get your profile set up. Just get your profile set up, sort of watch it, just see how it happens. Some people they're really comfortable with it and they do it all the time. But for a lot of people, warming up to it, just giving people a like, sharing something and build up to it. You're not expected to be an influencer on this overnight, okay? And some people I have colleagues who never use it, they don't want to use it. They have it and it works well for them if they've moved careers and moved jobs, but they don't post on it frequently. It's not something that they engage with, okay? Make sure, so this is just a bit of a handy tip, bit of a guide to make sure that you've got your profile picture. You don't have to do it in terms of, like we said, very professional like this or looking over the shoulder. As long as they can tell it's you, that would be useful. Make sure you get your URL links if that's what you can then include in your email footers as well, or on your CV and your cover letter. Get a good catchy headline. Like I say, it should say exactly what you're interested in, what you like doing. So look at other people's, get some ideas about people's. You can put your location on as well, but also this really important part is about you. It's about you section. Make sure you've built a complete profile section. All right. There's nothing worse than going on. Someone's got no picture. So quite often students will be like, and you can tell this because you'll ask people, can I look at your LinkedIn? Oh, it's not finished. If you don't want to share it and you know they need some work on it, book an appointment and we can help you with that. Make sure you fill in your experience bit and your education sections along with your skills and endorsements. This is what future employers are going to be looking at, looking at that footprint that you've got no gaps, that you've been building those skills, and then you can get your recommendations. So people from, it could be line manager you've had, it could be somebody on your course, can put those recommendations in about you. And then use it to follow the companies. Like I said, Google top 100 consultancy companies or finance firms and start to follow those organizations because that's what's going to give you the insight into those companies. It'll show you when opportunities are opening up or challenges that are going on. So it really boosts your interview skills as well. But it'll help you reach out to lots of different people on LinkedIn. Follow the groups, you've got the organizations, but also lots of other social groups. Like Lancaster University, look at the alumni. So if you follow, we've got obviously lots of different LinkedIn pages. But if you go on the Lancaster University alumni page, you can actually search for organisations. So if you really wanted a job with a particular organisation, particular company, put that company name in, and you will see any students that have worked there or are working there. So it can give you a good place to reach out. Shout out to them. Hi, I'm a Lancaster University student. I see you were also in Fylde College. What else? Talk to them about it. Want to ask some questions? Would that be all right? The absolute worst that happens is they don't come back to you. That's the worst. Okay. Maintain those connections. Now, I find this, like I said before, try not to let it swamp you and feel like you've got to be on it all the time. I tend to just check in pretty much, I don't know, not every day. I'd say at least every other day. maybe every couple of days, check the messages, see what's going on in my feed. I like stuff, see what's going on. It could be that someone's got a new job, that they've been promoted, they've moved to a new company, or they're traveling. I'll try and comment on things that come up in my feed. Okay. If people reach out and ask me a question, I had somebody recently, they worked in marketing. I've got some questions to ask you. Would you mind jumping on a Teams call? Yeah, I can do. Yeah, I've got 10 minutes to, yeah, no problems. Luckily, it was something that I'd done in my early career with the college. So I was like, yeah, I can help you with that. That's fine. And was able to also pass them on to somebody else who's also willing to help them as well. So being able to share and offer that insight, you never know where it'll lead. If you can reach out to people. So we've got a few alumni people that I've never met before. They left before I started at the university, but said to them, when you're on campus, when you come in, let's meet for a coffee. I'd love to catch up with you. Somebody else the other day, I hadn't met them before. Let's jump on Teams and caught up with them. So you're building that network. It then means it makes it easy for me when I want to get an alumni member in as a guest speaker, or would like them to help me with an event that I'm doing. You're building those connections, so you don't know who's going to help you in the future. Be consistent. If you are reaching out to people, be consistent, but not overwhelming. It's quite important that you're not constantly like, can you check my CV? Can you check my CV? Are you there? Are you there? Some people don't go on LinkedIn that often. So it's how you use it and reach out to them. I always say reach out. If they don't come back to you, maybe try again a week or two later. Oh, you must be really busy. I wonder if you had a chance to see my message. Would love to have a chat with you. If they don't come back, I might try one more time by saying, it might not be yourself that can help me with this. Have you got a contact in another department? If they don't come back, that's it. It's a cold lead. They might come back in the future, but at the minute, it's not happening. So being intentional, being authentic with it, a little effort, that's all it is. Over time goes a long way. And I can really testify to that, to when I first started. I didn't use LinkedIn until about 2 years ago, this Easter. I set mine up, I think it was. Just before I applied here, and then I didn't use LinkedIn, set it up, and now the amount of people, like I say, I reach out to, or you're asking questions, or they're asking questions of you, and there's lots of different webinars and training things that you've done, so it's really helpful for careers development. Okay. Just get on there, start exploring, having a look on the online platform, looking at what's going on, just seeing how it operates. Some people, like I say, you might be really comfortable with this, but other people aren't and need that time to build it and get on there. So what actions can you take from today about improving your personal brand? Look at yourself, look at what we said at the beginning about in terms of your strengths, your weaknesses. Is there anything that you're missing? So for some people, they really know what they want to go into. They've got a real clear vision of what they want to do, but they've no experience. How can you get that experience? Can you reach out to somebody? Can you find the organisations that over the Easter break or over the summer break, you go and get some experience with them? Or it could be an internship with them, or you reach out and offer to do some free work for them. Do you just need to practice what to say? Do you feel like you've got quite a good offer already, but you just need to practice that and polishing that? So doing that really consciously when you meet people. It could be that you book a careers appointment and you want to go through that one-to-one. Do you need to have a clear out of like your social media? Do you think actually I need to now I'm getting ready to graduate now, and I need to really look at how professional I am and what I'm putting on there and building that personal brand? For some people I work with, actually, they haven't even started this. They don't necessarily post anything. They've not even thought about what they want to do. They're on a course that they picked because they weren't sure what else to do. So actually it's a starting point. I don't even know what my brand is. So helping identify what that brand is. And we can do that through one-to-one appointments as well. Okay. So your personal brand is really, really crucial part. Okay. Most people will decide in the first sort of 7 seconds of meeting you if they like you and want to work with you straight away. If you've sent a CV ahead of meeting somebody, maybe for a job application, they will get that impression straight away. Most people only ever look at their own CV. You might look at a few templates, but you usually look at your own. When you see hundreds of them all the time, you will very quickly start to get a picture of those people, what they do. Okay, and it's quite impressive from one piece of paper. And then other people's CV, you don't get that. And yet you meet them and you're like, why didn't you put that in your CV? Why is that not in your LinkedIn page? And you start to see that person and their experiences. So being able to build that strong brand, it does require a lot of self-reflection, a bit of discipline sometimes to sit down and go through it, but we can help you. And hopefully after today's session, you've got a starting point. That's what we're looking at as a starting point. Think, right, I'm going to look at mine. I'm going to review it. I want to see it from the other side about how an employer would look at it and view it. So if you want to book an appointment, or if you want to attend any of the other careers workshops that we've got, you can do. Make sure you follow us on all our social media platforms. So if we've got any guest speakers or any events, you'll be able to find out them straight away. We do a drop-in Monday to Friday, every day, 1 till 3 in the career zone here on the seafloor. So you can pop along. Or if it's something specific, or you're not sure where to start, if you send us an email, a member of our team can get back to you. I hope that's been useful. If you've got any questions, I'll stay on the call for a couple of minutes. So if you want to pop anything in the Teams, in the chat, you can do. But yeah, have fun with it. That's what I would say. Have fun with it. It's your brand. It's what people remember. You're going to look at the organisations that you would like to get into. You're going to tailor yourself for those organisations. But if you've got any questions, just let me know.
What's some of the most common mistakes made by students when they are developing their professional brand?
Yes. So one of the common mistakes is people trying to be everything. So because they want to, maybe if look at graduate schemes, oh, I'll do consultancy, I'll do finance, I'll do marketing, I'll do business management, and trying to get that message out is so hard. Like, one, it's not authentic because people then saying like CVs, oh, I'm so passionate about business data analysts, analyzing or whatever. I've always been passionate. Yeah, and then on your LinkedIn profile, it's saying I want to do strategy, I want to do consultancy, I want to do marketing, I want to do this. So being specific, I would say that's one of the biggest things is I'm not talking about being specific and like cutting yourself off from everything. You don't have to just be like, I only want finance audit. And for some people, that is all you want. For some people, they don't know. That's one of the biggest things that I would say in careers is a lot of people just don't know. I'm quite happy to do this. I'm quite happy to do that. I'm quite happy to do that. Keep it quite woolly if that's the case. You might not be like, oh, I've got a particular interest in this. You might be saying, I'm empowered by all things business and how different business functions work together. So it's a bit more of a holistic view of the organization. And then looking at where you're applying to and what you're applying to. So if it's placement or a grad scheme, you're probably looking at something maybe with a rotation program. So you get into experience different areas of the business. So they're going to expect you to be looking at how those departments work together for the overall sales or profit or whatever the company, but how you then tailor that to the people. Yeah.
What common themes have you seen in the strongest brands over the years, and how can someone start cultivating this from today?
Good question. Good question. I would say being authentic. When you meet people and companies and brands, and this does go for people and organizations when they come in, being really fake about what they are and who they are, you can see through it straight away. If you're really honest, and I think definitely we've had a shift. You might agree with this, Adam. I think we've had a shift in sort of the last 5 or 6 years where that, and I would say even with like influencers online, so less about the celebrity endorsements. So like when I was growing up, celebrities endorsed everything, talking like Pepsi, football boots, the lot. Now, when you go online, it's like Karen from Three Doors Down, who's got 4 kids and she's making tea in the house, a bit of a mess, but it's real, that sort of buy-in. And I think a lot of people, that is true when you meet them as well. So it's really nice when you meet organizations, and sometimes we work with, Porsche, and you work with some of the big organizations. There's that intimidation a little bit sometimes that maybe they've built this brand and they're quite snooty. And actually, when you meet people or you talk to them online, they're humans, very much the human side, and they're honest. And if they're having a bad day, they tell you they're having a bad day. And I find that,
I totally agree.
yeah. Yeah, that's the ones that sort of last and the ones that build good relationships. Quite often, and I try and do this in some of my lectures, Try and get people to come out of the comfort zones with it, because it's not easy for everybody. And depending on the experiences that we've had, I think some people find it easier than others. But trying to be yourself and not afraid to bring that to yourself, to the table, and knowing where you fit, and where you would thrive. But I know, I don't know if you're local, you'll have heard of British Airways, British Aerospace. They're a huge organisation. Yes, they make weapons of destruction and missiles, and there's lots of companies that do that, and they've got other departments that run their charity department and things. But could I work at BAE? No. I know from my research and working with people that work there, the type of organisation it is. I know what I like to wear to work, what jewelry I like, all those sorts of things that are part of my brand. And I wouldn't be a cultural fit for BAE, and I know that through the research that I've done. And I know from people that are like, no, you just have to come to work and just do what you're told. And that's not how I would operate. So it's about that. It's about that where you fit as well. I know that I really like working in education. I like the people. I like the people I work with. I like the students that I support. So I believe that that's a good fit for where I am, for my energy as well. And I think you've got to do a lot of it is self-reflection. And people don't always get it right. Quite a lot of, like I said, with the investment banking one, a lot of students want to go to organisations that really are not a good fit for them. And then other students really find where they work with the right people. It's like you find your corner with the people that are interested in what you're interested in, and they thrive, and they do really well. But it is about that being honest, and you see that a lot of big organizations, and I'm talking top CEOs, directors of organizations. You've got to be authentic. Yeah, if that's everything. Hope you have a great day, guys. If you need anything, like I say, every day we do a drop-in 1 till 3 or book a careers appointment, and we can have a look at LinkedIn profiles or CVs, can help you. Have a great day. Take care. Bye.